Hello, and welcome to more chit chats about our upcoming 2015 North American Systemic Constellations Conference. My name is Linda Comeau, and today I have with me my guest, Kim Leischner, who is going to be giving a presentation on Sunday morning, November 15th, 10:30 to 12. And the title is Coaching in the Field of Constellation and Constellation in the Field of Coaching. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, thanks, Linda. Hey, I just want to start by really appreciating you and all the time and energy you've been putting into these videos. I was just saying to you before we started that I feel like I've had many conversations already with all of the people that I've been listening to through your interviews, and you and the organizers are just doing anything excited for the conference.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a great project. So, as you know, one of my favorite conversations is about how we describe constellations to someone. So how do you describe them, Kim?
Yeah, thanks. Well, being a coach, I use constellations in the context of coaching. So we're already usually working together, myself and a client, before I really even mention anything around constellations. And in fact, it's usually because they've expressed some kind of need where I notice that a constellation would be potentially another way to shed more light on their topic. So I just say that. I say, so based on what you're requesting here and what you're going for, what you want, I have a method that might work or help you to see things in a new perspective. Would that be something you'd like to try? So I just try to keep it as normal as possible. And I bring constellation when it would be relevant as a suggestion or an opportunity for the client. I try to use total earth language and just make it seem normal. So really like normalizing the whole process. I'm remembering something that Hunter Beaumont said 2 conferences back, and he talked about, and I'm paraphrasing, but constellations being, just something that in the future we won't even need because it becomes a way that people think. And just a perspective that we take naturally, looking at the whole system. So I think we can, step out of this being any kind of strange sort of territory and just use it when it's useful and meet people where they're at, depending on what their request or their need is. Then we can say, hey, here's a possibility of looking at this from a new way that might serve you. So just trying to keep it as normal as possible is my method for introducing it, and only introducing it when somebody really has expressed that they have a question or a need that, it seems like it would fit for them.
Cool.
So sometimes my first question is, what is it that you want to create? As a coach, we're always looking from now to the future, and what is it that would be your ideal going forward? And then, once somebody has that need and they recognize what they want and what's important for them, then I can say, okay, so I've got a tool or a method that might serve you to get that particular outcome, rather than, talking about how it works and, giving people an opportunity to say, ooh, that sounds a bit weird. I just, just move right into that with the express outcome that they've said that they want. So it kind of naturally unfolds.
So then you would do a piece of work with them one-to-one.
Yeah, I do group workshops, and I work with teams as well, and that's going to happen a little bit differently. But in the one-to-one sessions, yeah, they'll decide what it is they want in the conversation that we're having. So generally, I'm working with people over a period of time. We set up a coaching contract to be anywhere from these 6 sessions or 3 months to a longer period of time if they've got a long goal.
Okay.
Each session, they're establishing what it is that they want to work on today that's going to move them that much closer to the longer term target that they've got. And so, as a coach, we've got lots of different tools, from helping people get really clear on the vision to figuring out, what are their motivators and their drivers that's going to support them, to what are their first steps and building strategic action plans to get there. And there are times, too, when we can use constellations just really in a straightforward manner to help people make practical decisions, whether it be business decisions or resolving relationship issues right here in the current here and now experience. And there are times, too, when the system constellations, the family system, might be, it might be useful to actually do a constellation that helps resolve some kind of block that is even beyond this person's consciousness. So there are times maybe fewer times in coaching where we might go into something more of the family system,
Mhm.
only if other sort of coaching tools haven't served in resolving it. Then I think we can go into some kind of larger intervention.
Great. Okay. Now, my next favorite question is, do you use constellations for self-care?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this question because I do. I use it all the time for myself. I'm also a trainer, so I train people in coaching, and I train these programs all over the world. And wow, it's really different every time I teach it, and the groups are very different. So I often am using constellations just to kind of get a sense of where the group is at. And sometimes, I just find in different cultures, I have to really adjust my own style so that people can hear the value in what I'm teaching them. So just like with coaching, and as I was saying, as we introduce constellations or anything, we need to meet the group or the client's model of the world in such a way that they can hear the value, right? So if we're using their language and if we understand what their values and what's important to them and what their sort of terminology and lingo is, then we can really tailor how we introduce any kind of topic to the person who's hearing it so that they can hear the value in it. If I'm using my own language, right, it may not hit them. So I often, when I'm working with different groups, especially when I'm having a challenge, kind of, really figuring out what is it that would allow them to get it, get the value. So I'll often just do a simple constellation with myself and the group and create a meta position where I can step out and observe that from the outside and move between these different positions. And there's amazing insights that come from that. And I find it supports me every time to make a better connection. It makes my life easier, right? And I know that I'm delivering value in a way that people can receive it. So that is great. And I use it for my own personal questions too. I'm often putting papers on the floor and just creating my own little thinking space or ritual space where I can, ask myself the deeper questions, because when we ask the question, we can find the answers. When we ask inwardly, the answers do come up. So it's just a matter of being able to ask the questions and be able to take a meta position on our own experience and try on these different mindsets. And yeah, we all can get answers, and that supports me immensely as someone who's supporting other people. I think we always have to do our own work first.
Cool. Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay. Now, of course, we have to talk about your workshop, although I figure we could talk for hours. Tell us what you have planned for coaching in the field and in the field of coaching.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about this because it's a question that I've been asking myself since I started to learn both coaching and constellation. So I'd already had a background in coaching, and particularly the kind of coaching that I'm teaching and using is called solution focused. So it's very much from now to the future and focusing on the positives and the thing that somebody wants rather than what they don't want or what they're trying to get away from. So of course, both of those things are present. But in solution focus, we put all the attention on the future and what this person does want and build steps to get there. So I'm coming from a certain frame and a background in coaching. And as I've had more and more experience with constellation, I think that there's a huge opportunity for the coaching community to be able to utilize this model of systemic thinking and looking with a macro lens at the whole situation and the whole person that we're working with. So there's a big opportunity for coaches to learn more about constellation and figure out how to integrate that in their work. And I also think there's a big opportunity for constellators and people who are facilitating to utilize the skills and techniques of coaching to help people make a long-term change. Oftentimes in constellations, it's quite a radical intervention, and they're popped into this new way of seeing things, and they get inspiration from that, and they get healing from that, and they get possibly a new vision of how things could be. And then I really believe to build the neural pathways and the neural networks to create that kind of habit over a long-term, sustainable period of time, we need to keep our attention on the road, right? We need to keep planning, where are we going from here? So now I've had this realization, how do I sustain that and keep and integrate it into my life in a way that moves me forward. So I think for constellators, I think coaching can offer that valuable sort of long-term, and even maybe not even so long-term, but long enough for somebody to integrate what they got from the constellation in a positive way that moves them in the direction they want to go. So this is the question that I have is, we've got this huge field of constellation. And we could say therapy in the field of constellation. We could say consulting in the field of constellation. My particular area is coaching. And how does coaching fit into this field we call constellations? And then the second question is, we've got this big field of coaching, which I'm very interested in. And there's the International Coach Federation, among other organizations that support coaching, that have a definition of coaching. They've got a code of ethics. They've got a set of competencies. So there's a big field called coaching. And how does constellation fit in that field? And, where do these intersect? I know Theory U was going to do a presentation on coaching, and I'm not sure if that's still happening. I don't think so. So I'm really excited to just explore. I was disappointed because I wanted to attend their program, but to just explore this question more. Where does that intersection happen with coaching and constellation, and how can we use it in a way that works for the client? So exploring that constellation, or maybe two constellations, is one part of this workshop. And more than that, it's just assisting everyone to have lots of experiences of where do they stand in relationship to constellation, in relationship to coaching, with the understanding and maybe more awareness building around what is coaching exactly, being from now to the future, being advice free. How do we help someone if we're not giving advice? Another question is, coaching is client driven, and that makes it very different from therapy, from consulting, from any other model, from training and telling. So the client decides what it is that they want as an outcome. And the client is the one that takes accountability and responsibility to move forward with that. And to find our place in relationship to all of these different distinctions, the distinctions around time, around client orientation, around the body of work of coaching itself. So just really doing lots of mini quick constellations for everybody to get an experience of where they are in relationship to that, and then open up maybe possibilities of, I hadn't really thought of, here's where I am now, maybe this is an opportunity that I could explore more of as we each have those experiences. So I'm very excited to just really do some exploring with everybody, just opening up the questions as a coach does, and not really knowing where it's going to go, but just allowing everyone to have their own experience and take their own meaning from it.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fabulous. Wow, okay. Oh my gosh, that sounds really good, Kim. Okay, I don't even know what to say now. All right. Well, that's perfect. We have a little more time. Is there anything else to add?
What else would I add here? I guess what's really coming up for me is, although I have a plan for our hour and a half, and when I created the frame of how this was going to work, I wasn't sure exactly how long we were going to be given. So there's probably more content I have than we'll manage to cover in an hour and a half. So I know that the field is still forming, and I have this sense that the plan that I have in my own mind is actually going to be different than what actually unfolds. So I guess what I would love here is to this workshop. What questions do you have? What interest do you have in attending something about constellations and coaching? Why is this relevant for you? Because that's going to actually, your questions, it's going to shape what actually happens in the hour and a half that we have together. So I just want to put out actually an invitation for people to either reach out to me at the conference, because our workshop, my workshop, is on the final day. So if you see me, just come and tell me, what interests you about coaching? Where are you? Do you notice yourself in relationship to coaching? Or send me an email or a LinkedIn message or whatever, just sharing kind of your area of interest and what questions you have. And I think that's going to assist us. Oh, there's my timer for 15 minutes. That's going to assist me to actually create a relevant space for everybody.
Excellent.
So an open invitation to everyone to just get in touch beforehand, and we're going to form this together.
And we have lots of open space you could use.
Yeah. So there might be something that could emerge in an evening or something when,
Right.
if there's more questions where people want to go deeper, then we can work something out.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. So that's Kim's workshop Sunday, 10:30 to 12, coaching in the field of constellation and constellation in the field of coaching. Kim, thank you so much. It was delightful to see you again. Look forward to seeing you again in a few days.
I am so looking forward to it too. And thanks again, Linda, for creating this space.
All right, you take care. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.